This is James with OinkArtLTD.com. So we've been getting a lot of requests for more buff tests lately, so today we're going to do buff tests of every single mop that I have with me. We're going to be doing a Sharpie marker, a Krink K71 permanent ink marker, a Witch's Brew filled mini mop, a mini mop filled with Oink and Griffin, a mini mop filled with Garvey, and a mini mop filled with straight Griffin shoe polish. So we're going to use every one, and then we're going to paint over it with white paint, see which one stands out. So now this first marker we're going to be using is just straight Griffin shoe polish. Same thing that we got right here. Drips well, nice lines. Next we're going to use a Sharpie marker like you can get at any office supply store. Then we're going to be using a Krink K71 permanent ink marker. We're going to be using a mini mop filled with just Witch's Brew. As you'll notice here, the Witch's Brew is much thicker than the alcohol-based inks we were using previously. Here we use the mop filled with the Griffin and the Oink. You'll notice that this is darker than the straight Griffin. And then finally we're going to be using a mop that's filled with just Garvey Violet ink. So first we're just going to put one nice layer of paint over all the different inks. We're going to try not to make it thicker on one than it is on the other, although it probably will be a little bit. We're going to try it. Now we've had some comments on the YouTube where people are saying, oh, you need to put a lot more paint. Contrary to popular belief, the buff is trying to use as little paint as possible. So anybody who wants to try to tell me that the buff is going to be using a lot more paint than I do, you're crazy. I might be a cheap ass, but the buff is way more cheap than I am.
Why do you think that you are all that you ain't? Why do you think that you are all that you ain't?
Now there shouldn't be any complaints, so for this first coat of paint, we put 2 nice coats of paint. We're going to give it 5 or 10 minutes, let it dry out a little bit, and then we'll see which ones show through.
I come to see lovely honeys, that's what's up. Not your money hungry to be fast, get stuck in La La Land. The next morning talking about how dry I am. Tell people I'm mean, damn right I am. But what you like so bad is that I'm like your dad. Full compromise themselves for pleasures they want.
It was only a coat and a half of paint. We're gonna put more over, but let's check it out and see how we did. As you can see, the Griffin shoe polish did great. That's showing through just fine. The Oink mixed with Griffin is showing through even better. Sharpie's gone. The Krink K71 bleed through red is showing through a little bit, but not completely. The Witch's Brew is completely gone. Now, as we've said before, if you want fade-proof ink that's never going to fade in the sun, the Witch's Brew is for you. But if you want something that's going to stain really hard, then you're going to want the Oink, the Griffin, or the Garvey. So let's keep going. The Griffin mix that we used here did very well. And as you can see, the Garvey showed through great. That purple's really visible. The Garvey, the Griffin, and the Oink are your best bets if you're looking for a hard staining ink. The K71 permanent ink markers with their bleed through formulas are also very effective. But if you want something that's going to beat the buff, the Witch's Brew isn't necessarily for you. Visit OinkArtLTD.com to purchase any and all of these products today.